We're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to go through our eBay store, one of them that we use to sell things, and I'm going to show you some of the things we sold recently and tell you about the prices. That way you can see actual examples of stuff we're selling at the same time that we're giving you these overarching tips that can help you with your store in general. All right, tip number one is to regularly, and I mean at a minimum of once a week, but possibly even every other day, you should take items out of your store, so end your items, and then relist them in your store. The way you do this is you go through and you can select up to 200 items at a time, and you hit end items. Then you go into your ended items section to see the ones you just took down. And then you select all of them, anywhere from 1 to all the way up to 200, and then you hit not relist, but hit sell similar. That way, you're going to be bringing these up, and you can make any edits, you can change prices, whatever you want, and then you can relist them. What this does is it copies that exact listing of yours, but instead of relisting it under the same number, code in eBay, it assigns it a brand new listing number. What that does is for anybody who's searching for certain things, like let's say I want to look for a lot of vintage postcards, and I have it saved, that search, so that every day I can look at the newly listed items in that category. So if you list something, people take a look at it, whoever's looking that day or that week, they don't buy it. It's just sitting there. Meanwhile, every day, every hour, every minute, people are loading more and more things in for sale, and your listing gets bogged down in the ether, in the background, and people aren't seeing that like they're seeing the new things coming in. So for me, every other day, every 2 or 3 days, I take everything down, because the people who saw it, who didn't buy it, don't want it. They're not going to buy it. They didn't send offers. They're not watching it. So I'm going to reload that back in. The same people who saw it the first time, if they're searching, might see it a second time and be like, oh yeah, that's right, I did want this. They'll watch it, or they'll send an offer. And you're going to catch the new people who are going to be seeing that day, who maybe didn't see it a week ago and wouldn't find it in the search results. Now, there are different opinions on how effective this strategy is, but I can tell you from personal experience, I do this, and every day that I do this, I make anywhere from 2 to 3 or more sales directly as a result of this particular strategy. So if you have items that have been sitting for a week, a month, 6 months, 2 years, maybe it's time to pull that down and sell the similar item. You can adjust the pricing. You can shuffle photos. Maybe your top photo is not the best photo. You switch that photo around. Maybe you take new photos. But you're getting it back out there into the newest feed for people who are searching for that item. All right, folks. Well, here we are starting off with some things that we have sold recently. Whenever we're buying costume jewelry, we try to never spend more than $2 or $3 a piece for things individually. We prefer to buy things in lots if we can, and this is one of these, though, that we did buy individually, paid $3 for it, and it was something, a piece that was branded as Norma Jean. Norma Jean is a brand out there. Norma Jean is the name of a popular celebrity from yesteryear that you may know as Marilyn Monroe. And so this was like a branded, this is the brand name, kind of her namesake. $24, sold it within a week, so that was a pretty easy flip. The next one here I loved. I found this in a local antique store, and it is basically it's a pocket watch chain and fob, but it's gold filled. It's got gold filling in it. It's got the coolest little kind of piece here that kind of tightens or loosens stuff. It has these faux pearls in this kind of imitation opal in it, but it's quite attractive. It's a little bit unique, definitely from probably the teens or 1920s at the latest. I paid $30 for this piece, and I sold it at I took a best offer of $120. So really good profit off of that. Pocket watch chains and pocket watches have a pretty big collector market, and so if I find good deals on those, I love to grab those up. This was the one that was a little disappointing. You know, you may recall the video a few months back when Peaches and I went down to Source in old Florida. We were down there in the Sarasota area, all the way from Tampa all the way down to Venice Beach, and we were hitting places. And I bought this at an antique store on the very last day. I mean, just a couple hours before I headed off to the airport to head back to the mountains here. And you know what? I did a goof here. I thought I would make some better money on this than I did. I thought that I'd sell it faster than I have. But this thing sat in the antique store locally. Couldn't sell it. Couldn't sell it online for what I wanted to sell it for, and yet here we are. So I took a best offer of $35, and that's basically exactly what I paid for it. So this is an example of a time when, you know, I did my research. I thought I could do it, but even the research I had did not pan out in my experience, and that happens sometimes. I make mistakes. I don't even know if I'd say this is a mistake, but it was like, you know, you take a risk, a chance, and sometimes they don't work out the way that you want. Not a big deal. I did get to sell it. I didn't lose money on it, although with fees and stuff, maybe I'm back a buck or two, but overall on that trip, I've made some good money, and so it's not like it hurt my business. But I just wanted to share that, you know, not everything is a home run, right? There are some strikeouts from time to time. This came in a lot of tools. We buy all kinds of, sometimes we buy whole bulk lots of tools. Sometimes we buy tools. I've bought an entire storage unit full of tools at one point in time. But then oftentimes we're hand picking them out of thrift stores or yard sales, or maybe a little carrying tool chest, and we'll pull out individual tools, sell those, and then sell the tool chest by itself. But this came out of there. It's just this tiny little ratchet wrench. It's a number 4117 Craftsman brand, which is a good brand. As you can see, $12. I probably had 10 cents in this, if that, based on what I would pay $10, $15 for a tool chest full of tools. That's really easy, folks, because if you pull out one nice set of pliers or something like that, you've made all your money back, and then everything else, your cost of goods is already taken care of. This was a really cool lot. I actually pieced this together over time, over the course of a couple of months, finding these at thrift stores, antique stores, yada yada. But what we're looking at here are just a bunch of different pairs of cufflinks. Some of them snap together, and that's how they're stored. They're held. Some of them have kind of these little goofy little knobs out the back of them. Other ones have kind of a chain and a little piece at the end. Different types of designs, different patents for different ways of putting these things together. But one thing that they almost all had in common was that they were incorporated gold filled metal, so it's just a thin layer of gold over those. I bought a small jar full of these. Probably 90% of the stuff in this lot was from this one little jar, and I only paid I think I paid $5 for that jar. So I took a best offer of $45 on that. So I made easily $30 or more in profit on that. Here was a little set of blades, which I got at a thrift store for $8, and they had not been used. It was still in the original packaging in a little carrying box with like a little snap on there. It took me 2 months, but I turned that $8 into $60 as a sale. Tip number 2. You should be sending offers to potential buyers. When someone sees an item that they're interested in and they think, I'm not going to buy it at this moment, but I definitely want to come back and look at it again. I want to think about it. I don't want to forget about it or lose it in the shuffle of all the listings coming out. So I'm going to watch this item to see if anybody else is interested, to see if it sells so that I can come back to it easily. So every morning when I get up, before I even get coffee in my belly, I'm looking on my phone, on my eBay app, and I'm looking to see, are there any items that my potential buyers are watching? That means, to me, they are interested. Now, it's certainly possible that, and I do this as well, that the person watching it, who you don't know who they are, it's possible they're not watching it because they want to buy it. It's possible they're watching it because they have a similar item or maybe something they're considering selling, and they want to see, will this item sell at this price or not? And they're doing research just like I do from time to time. But most of the time, people who are watching it are interested in purchasing that item. Maybe it's on the cusp, and maybe it's slightly more expensive than they want to spend or are willing to spend or their budget allows. So what I do is, because I'm always marking everything I buy up, of course I do that. That's what this is. I buy things at a certain price. I try to sell them for more to earn money. That's how I make my living. So I'm always, depending on what I spent, because that's one of the factors in how I decide how I price things, I will mark it up 20, 30, 50, 100, 200, 1,000%. And I don't know. It's different for every item. But what I'll do is I will send them an offer at a discount, 5% off, 20% off. I don't know. Depends on how quickly I want to sell this item, how long it's been sitting around, but I send offers. Now, I can't tell you exactly what percentage of the time it translates to a sale, but I do get sales regularly from people who I sent offers to. I sent probably somewhere around a dozen offers yesterday, and I had 2 sales just from offers I sent. Now, would those people have bought it anyways? I can't know. I can't travel down that alternate timeline, but I do know that because I took the initiative to see people were watching it, to send them an offer at a discounted price, a price I'm still okay selling it at, it did translate to a sale. If you haven't tried that, you should consider doing so. All right, as you can see here, we have this beautiful little sterling silver turquoise and coral necklace pendant. Very beautiful. Really attractive looking. The large pieces of red coral, really nice, kind of almost like a flower kind of look here. Paid $3 for this. They didn't know it was sterling silver at a thrift store. Turned that into $34. I do this kind of thing every single week. I'll buy a piece of jewelry that is either silver or gold. They don't know it. I paid $3 for it, and just depending on the weight and the uniqueness of it will determine the price. But those deals are out there, folks. This one right here was a set of salt and pepper shakers, and I bought this set for $4. They basically priced it at $1 a piece, but they didn't know that these were made of sterling silver also. If you turn them over on the bottom, and you can see right here, it says sterling right there. Pretty clear, but they didn't pay attention or know to look, and so $4, I accepted a best offer of $40 on this after a couple of months, but still, turn that as a 10 times my expense right there made of profit. This was a little set of Corningware. This is like Pyrex and Corningware, Pyrex glass tops. This is what they call the Spice of Life. Spice of Life set based on this design right here. This is the Spice of Life. These were in excellent condition. I wouldn't say unused, but very lightly used. A great condition. I accepted a best offer of $130, and I paid $25 for this whole set. It was either 20 or 25. I think it came out to be about $25 of all of those, but still pretty good thing. I don't like to buy and sell this stuff all that often though, folks, because these big heavy pieces are expensive and difficult to package and ship, and the risk of them getting damaged is pretty high. So I don't love that, but whatever. We did it. We made some money. This next one I really enjoyed selling and putting together. Very large, as you can see, costume jewelry lot that incorporated multiple sets. So you had like a brooch earring set, maybe a necklace earring set like this, maybe a brooch and a bracelet and earrings, but these all were heavy on the rhinestone. These are all sort of circa 1930s to 1950s, even into the 60s in a lot of cases, but some really beautiful pieces here, really bright colors, heavy rhinestone. You can see, bagged them all up. There were somewhere in the range of around 40 to 45 of these nice pieces like this, and then bagged up a lot of more gold tone or silver tone without really much rhinestones going on in their pieces. But it was 3 bids, $830. We were basically into this nothing at this point because these are all pieces that had come in lots that we'd already sold nice pieces from, made our money back. Then I amassed this lot, sold it in one big, so it's just one listing, and you get all this money back in one go. This was an interesting piece. I believed it to be a Miriam Haskell, although it was not signed. Based on the look of it, the color, the wire construction on the inside, the way that it corroded even in certain spots was very reminiscent to other vintage, older Haskell pieces. Either way, even if it's not, it's a similar type and definitely from the same time frame, but it's just a cuff bracelet incorporating, you can see right here where I'm talking about the wire construction. Instead of having those pieces on the outside soldered, they actually ran wire, and so this was like hand constructed with tools, a large portion of this, and so really kind of neat to see how that stuff was made back in the day. This was a piece I paid $3 for amongst other cheaper costume jewelry, and I accepted a best offer of $64 on this, so $3 to $64. That was a pretty good flip. Rusty's hot tip number 3. You should, in the description of your listings, if you have other items in the same category or similar items, you should write a note in your listing. This is how it works for me. I buy and sell a lot of jewelry, for example. So let's say on a particular day, I've got 50 different either individual pieces of costume or fine jewelry or lots that I'm going to be listing. What I do is I just work off of the same base listing. So I have it set in the correct category. I have the pricing if I'm going to send them all at auction at the same price, or even if not, I get the basic, like 90% of my listing is going to be the same for all of these because they're the same type of item in the same category. So I will write a title, and at the end of the title, I'll put in bold letters the word read. Read. That is an indication to the buyer that there may be something else about this specific item I'm trying to inform them of. But really, in this case, what I'm wanting to do is just to try to get them to look at the description. Because in the description, I'll have whatever I have about this item. But I'll put an asterisk or two with bold letters, and I'll write a couple of sentences. And it might go like this. Please check our store for dozens of similar items going up for auction and buy it now over the next month. Or please see other pieces of high-end costume jewelry in our store right now. So what that does is not only are you pulling a person in to be more invested in the specific item that they have found, this particular listing, the more time people spend and the effort they put into something, the more likely they're going to follow through with things. And then you get them to read that, and that notifies them, oh, well, this may not be the only thing that this seller has that I would be interested in. Maybe I need to look at their store. So then they go to your store, and now you're not pulling in a viewer for a particular item. You're pulling in a potential buyer of all kinds of things, and maybe not even just stuff in that category, since I sell things in a variety of categories. So I'll go through every single listing I put out is going to have that in the description. So potentially every person that sees anything I put out that day is going to be turned on to other items in my store. That does a couple of things. Number one, it brings people to your store and potentially increases your sales across the board. It also brings people in that might end up wanting to follow, quote unquote, follow your store. Meaning anytime you put something up in any category, it's going to send an email notification to that buyer that new things from a buyer you like or a seller you like are now available. And then they can click on that email and go straight to your store and see your new listings. I have somewhere in the range of 600 to 700 followers of just one of my eBay stores. In fact, I'm going to be putting up some more costume jewelry today and some fine jewelry for that matter. And I'm doing this exact strategy. I don't know how much this helps because there is no way, unless I just directly ask the person, hey, by the way, why did you just find this item? Did you come? But I think this is a good practice because it only takes a little bit of work. You see, you just do one thing you put it in the description, and then every item you have, you're just copying, you'll send that one listing out, and when that listing is done, it pulls up a little page, and there's a couple buttons. One of the buttons is sell similar item. So what I do, well, Rusty does, is he'll spend a couple of hours. All I'm doing is photographing items. Then, when it's time to do the listing, I'm just on my little smartphone, right? In the eBay app, I've got my listing created as a draft. I go in, all I have to do is put in the new pictures, change the title, and possibly the price, if I want to do it auction or buy it now. And then I submit. I've made a listing. It pops up. It says, what do you want to do next? Done, sell similar item, blah, blah. I hit sell similar item. It pulls up the new copied listing. It asks me if I want to keep the photos or not. I don't. I put in my new photos, I change the title, change the price if I want, boom, I'm done. Next one, and I just roll through. And that's how old Rusty's able to do 50, 100 items listed in a day. I can do hundreds of items in a week. Whereas a lot of people are like, man, if I get 10 items done in a day, I'm doing well. And that's fine. I don't spend a lot of time on certain things like descriptions. I like to copy and paste because it makes my work more efficient. So if you haven't done this, consider putting this in, because it's almost like you're giving yourself free marketing from one item to everything else in your store. We have here a nice lot of rough, loose opal minerals or gemstones in the rough. They haven't been cut. We buy rock and mineral collections all the time, and we pull them out. Sometimes we sell them individually. Sometimes we sell them in lots like this. And so you can see in here we got some really pretty colors. You can see kind of the shine there of these rough pieces before they've been cut. Jewelers use these to put into jewelry. Other times people just collect them as specimens. And then also in here we have this right here, which is semi-cut pieces of opal, which are what they would call more like fire opal. They're from Mexico, Mexican fire opal. And so we're kind of excited about that. We paid for the rock and mineral collection probably $150 for the entire thing, and we still have countless of pieces to sell, and this just small portion by itself sold for $100, so we were quite happy about that. Next up, we've got this signed Miriam Haskell old school necklace here. You can see it's made out of this, what they call almost like milk glass beads, with like this sort of floral design at the top, which is a wire constructed little beads around a centerpiece. A double strand necklace. You can see right there where it hooks on, and if I keep going down, you'll see underneath of that little hook, it has her name there, the branded name. Only paid $3 for this and turned that into $38. So we were pretty happy about that. My next tip, I guess this is tip number 4 possibly, is communicate with your buyers. And what I mean by that is, if a buyer purchases an item and you have other items like that in your store, or maybe even you don't, what you do whenever they have, agreed to pay for it, agreed to buy it, paid for it, you send them a short message. It takes very little time, seconds. And you just say, thank you so much for purchasing this item. We have a lot of other items like this in our store, and also items in other categories. Is there anything else you're specifically looking for or interested in? Now, a lot of the time, people won't even respond. But usually, you'll get at least a very short response. And they'll tell you. They'll say, oh yeah, or they'll maybe say, wow, I was just getting this as a birthday gift for someone. I'm not looking for these things. It's just for someone specifically, or someone's birthday or Christmas. But they might say, yeah, I collect old postcards, or I collect old tools. Do you have any old wood chisels? And then I can say, why, yes, I do, as a matter of fact. Some are in my store already, and then I've got others I haven't even listed yet. What specifically? And now you've entered into a dialogue, and you have pulled in someone who potentially could be a buyer for the same type of item in your store or other items. I do this all the time, and there's actually, for people who do respond and engage in that dialogue, there's a pretty high success rate for me finding something. Now, this only works if you have a variety of items. If you only sell jewelry, for example, and you're like, hey, do you want anything else? And they're like, well, I like antique dolls. You're like, oh, sorry, I don't have that. I just got jewelry. Like if you've only got jewelry, tell them that up front. But old Rusty here and at the warehouse, our crew, we sell a variety of antiques and collectibles. Just to say that we sell antiques and collectibles is not very specific. I mean, think of how many things fit into that very, very broad category. But we sell lots of small things, toys, collectibles, electronics, tools, jewelry, all that kind of stuff goes in and out of our warehouse all the time. And so that's another thing. Like once they have a good experience buying something, you are polite to them and prompt with your contacting them. If it translates to another sale, then you just say, hey, like, thanks so much. I really hope you like this. In the future, if you're looking for something, shoot us a message. We'd be happy to help you. And by the way, you could follow our store and you'll see the stuff that's coming out all the time. We put out new items every week, sometimes every day. So I would say communicate with your buyer. It only takes a little bit of time, and it's a way of marketing your store without having to spend any additional money. Next, we have just a vintage jewelry kind of mixed lot. We've got some earrings up in here. We've got some brooches. We've got a cuff bracelet and, another little kind of, bracelet here. Really nice piece. I would call this maybe mid-level. It's not cheap costume jewelry. It's not super high-end either because some of these are branded, but you can see a nice little lot here. Of pieces. I would have liked for this to have gone at a higher rate. If you think about it, here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. So if I had spent $2 a piece on that, I'd have been spending $20. And so that wouldn't have been okay. In this case, we were only cents in on this stuff because we got these in lots and then broke it up. But I never want to sell something for less than $3 because it's kind of pointless at that point, because usually if I'm buying things individually, that's what I have to spend to get it. This little lot, I paid 10 cents a piece for each of these pieces. We got, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm 80 cents in on this particular lot, and they're all Snap-on brand tools. Snap-on, which is a highly collectible tool brand. So 80 cents, less than $1 in, sold that little lot, mixed lot of different sockets and things for $24.50. Then we have another one of these little marble lots here that we get these marbles in different lots, and then we'll separate them out based on styles, color, eras, things like that. Sometimes we get the really nice German marbles with the swirls. Sometimes we get newer ones, and then in between. These are a little bit older. They're not super highly prized, but for 2, 4, 6, 8 little marbles, $20. Marbles still have values, folks. Do your research. Take a look. Sometimes you can find really nice ones out there and make really good money. This was something that made us decent money. I paid $75 for this at a local estate sale, and it is a genuine 1920s like little like it's just a little lamp essentially, but it's got a really cool ornate like Art Nouveau sort of look on the foot here. And then as I go down, you'll see this portion in here that is colored is actually glass, and it has been painted, hand painted on the inside of it to give it, let me click on this here. These right here are like, it's a flower and some different stuff, different colored, very cool piece. This is metal on the outside, really, really nice. I took a best offer off of the $250 for $225, and I had to be very careful with the way I packaged that. It took a long time, but it was worth it for the money that we got out of it.
Rusty, hot tip for improving your eBay business, number 5, is to be, if you're able, if you have enough items, to be running both auction and buy it now listings at the same time all the time. So if you have someone who's looking for a particular item and they need it quick, it's a birthday present, it's a Christmas present, they need it for some specific reason, they're getting to go on a trip soon and they need to get it into the house before they leave. There's all kinds of reasons I hear about why people want to purchase things quickly. Also, if you know much about the psychology of buying, it has a lot to do with emotional responses. And everyone has their own way that they view the world, their own experiences, their own reasons for why they want or need specific things. And what you want to be able to do is capitalize on people's impulses to purchase. So that's one big reason why you should always have buy it now items for sale, is so that if a person gets on, they see it, they like it, they have the money, they can buy it and get it immediately. They do not have to wait. People, I don't know if you know this or not, generally speaking, are oftentimes not real patient. To be honest with you, when they want a thing, they want it then. They want it at their right price, and so if all of the variables work out for them, they want to buy. And you don't want to keep them from buying. You want to make it available to them. So that's why it's good to have things always at their fingertips, at the click of a button, that they can get it from you immediately. Now, you also want to have auctions. The advantage of auctions is oftentimes you can bring in a variety of viewers on a particular item over a period of time. Also, if it's something that's highly sought after, you might be able to get a better price by utilizing the system by which people are competing against one another for that item. So I don't have to tell you this. This is a basic idea of auctions. But it's nice to have that. You've got these catchment areas, and then whenever someone purchases that item, you can actually go in and see the username or the basic names of the people who have bid. If you want to reach out to people or even the buyer, you can tell them, hey, sorry you missed out on this, but I've actually got other items like this in my store. Go check it out. So it's nice to utilize auctions so that you can be running things and having regular sales. That helps your store. You're letting people compete to maybe increase your prices, to getting steady sales week in and week out. But then for higher value items, you can make sure you get the price you want with buy it nows, and you can also give people the option to purchase very quickly. So we try to do that at all times. We never just have buy it nows and no auctions. We never have just auctions and no buy it nows. It doesn't make sense for us and our business. And I think that using those in tandem with one another sets you up for the best chances of having regular sales, success, generally speaking, and also getting the prices that you want on your items.
All right, we got these little mugs. I bought all of these from different thrift stores over the last 3 months. They're all the same type of mug. They have this really wide bottom base on them, as you can see, and they're called no spill mugs, essentially like coffee mugs. But the bottom is so wide that you can't hardly even bump it. It's not going to fall over, which is kind of cool. You got 4 different types. They're all similar, but they have different glazes and different colors. And so I thought, you know what, I could sell these individually, or I could make a really nice lot. And I didn't spend more than $1 on any of these. So I'm at the most $4 in on this lot, and I sold them for $40 to one person. And so that was a pretty good flip. This I paid $2 for at a thrift store. It is a little travel, kind of like an alcohol or an oil burning little lamp. So I think it's alcohol because it's not going to burn as hot if you touch it. But it's just this little lamp. You kind of turn it, and it has a little wick that pops up. And right here, you can see that right there. It pops up, you can light that, and from the alcohol that's inside, it'll burn, and it gives you some light. So $2 in, $24 sale. These are some pieces I picked up, these cameos, beautiful little cameos I bought in Florida on our sourcing trip. I like that one a lot, the external part of that, the design. But they were not made of silver or gold. They were carved out of shell, as you can see. And they are vintage. Actually, this one looks like that one says 12 karat GF, so 12 karat gold filled. So that one was gold filled, but the other 2 were not. Sold the 3 of those for $70, and I believe I paid about $5 a piece, so I was $15 in on cost. This next lot is stuff that I got quite a while ago. I bought at an estate sale a bunch of old watch. It was someone who was a watch and clock repair person. That was their vocation, was that they repaired clocks and watches and things like that. And so I had all kinds of components and pieces. I had everything you can think of that goes in a watch or a pocket watch or even a clock, including these, which are the faces of different little, wrist watches, pocket watches, and stuff. They're really kind of cool. I put the term steampunk in here because these kind of go with that sort of style. But people use these for all kinds of things. They do craft things with them. Maybe someone else who wants to repair something is looking for a particular face. I've even seen people construct things like tabletops or like making little end tables and stuff, and they'll put these down in there, and then they'll pour in this epoxy, and then you've got this really interesting looking piece of functional furniture, but you're also incorporating some of these vintage and antique components, which is really cool. So I want to say I paid about $60 for a very large lot. I have made 4 to 5 times, if not more than that, profit already. And then again, this is just stuff. So I had nothing into this. It's just, continued sales off of one large lot. $32 for that lot. This right here, I bought in a lot of jewelry as well. And this is something that some people might just think is junk. Well, it's just an old clasp. It's kind of bent at the top. You can see right here, kind of bent. It's kind of tarnished. It doesn't, whatever. But you would be mistaken if you think it has no value, because it's from a pocket watch or similar from back in probably the 19-teens or 1920s. It is gold filled, and people need these to restore and repair their pocket watch fobs or things like that. It is gold filled. And so instead of pitching it, I threw it up here, and I accepted a best offer for $24 off this. So $24 on something that otherwise people might have pitched. These things have values, folks. You need to do your research and see. Just because something is worn, broken, bent, does not mean that they're trash. Okay, doesn't mean that they have no value. Last up here today, I'm going to show you is this pretty high-end jewelry lot of costume earrings. You can see right up here from left to right, you're going down. These are mostly gold tone, but we're incorporating some nicer kind of rhinestones in here. This right here, this set is a Whiting & Davis set. We got some Trifari pieces in here, some Napier, some Monet, some Hattie Carnegie right here. We've got, goodness, a variety of other pieces. Fendi was this right up here, and kind of the list goes on. So somebody got a really good deal off of this. Some of these pairs can sell for $30, $40 a pair, but I just wanted to move these pieces, so I put them in a nice lot and sold these for $195. Let's see what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 18, somewhere around 28 pairs. So, I was probably, if I'd paid $2 a piece for these, I was only $50-some in on this lot, sold for $195. So I'm pocketing $120 to $140 after fees off of this. So costume jewelry sells for good money. There are silver and gold pieces out there that are mixed in with costume pieces that the place doesn't know about. So learn how to inspect stuff, turn that stuff over, look at the back. You will be excited to find from time to time that there are some valuable pieces out there that are just getting lost in the shuffle.
All right, folks, number 6, doggone eBay. I have this love-hate relationship with eBay because on the one hand, their platform brings in the most buyers. So of any platform of buying and selling, more people are still shopping on eBay than any other platform. I'm not saying that'll be like that forever, but as of right now, November 21st of 2023, that is a fact. And that is why we use that platform. We're able to reach more people faster with that platform. But doggone it, if they aren't getting kind of greedy and constantly increasing their percentages of the money that they take from your sale, and adding more cost to you as the seller as well as the buyer. And so it's getting more and more difficult all the time. And one of the things that they have done is they have switched to this method of asking you to quote unquote promote your item, which means, hey, now, unless you pay us even more money, we're not going to show your item to the buyers as often as other people's. So if you have you and 4 other people in the room and you're all selling the same item, and eBay says, hey, you, number 2 and number 3, you're paying us extra in order to show your item to 100 people. So we're going to do that. And people, and you guys, number 1, 4, and 5, you're not. So I'm going to only show you to 10 people. I'm not going to show you to all 100 or whatever. I will show your item to these others. Well, the more people that see your item, the more likely it's going to sell, right? Because you're catching more potential buyers. So this is the frustrating thing about it, is if you, in some cases, it makes it seem like if you want to increase your sales, you got to pay them more. Well, increased sales is great, but if I'm paying more money, am I actually better off or not? And I'm not going to argue that point. I don't actually know the answer to that. So then the question becomes, are you supposed to pay to promote your items or not? Does it help your store or not? Does it increase your sales or not? I have tried everything. I have tried seasons of time where I'm promoting literally everything that I put in there, spending gobs more money. I've had times where I did not at all. And then in between, I have promoted some and not promoted others. And I'm going to tell you what my experience has been. I'm not saying that this would necessarily even work for everyone. This is just one person, one warehouse's experience. Is that when let's say, from the example earlier, I'm going to list 50 items, costume jewelry items today. Out of those 50, I will pay to promote about one out of every 8 to 10. So out of 50 items, I'm going to be paying $1 or $2 extra to promote somewhere between 5 and 8 of those. And what I've found is that is the best medium. Whenever I pay to promote every single item, it doesn't usually translate to that many more sales. And if it does, if you add up all the extra money I spent to promote the items that didn't sell, I end up not coming ahead. In some cases, I end up paying eBay more money. So it wasn't worth it. But on the other end, if I do not pay to promote anything, I find that my sales conversion rate, which you can see in the analytics on eBay, starts to drop a little bit. But whenever I'm running semi-regular promotions, I'll choose a specific item, maybe a little bit more valuable item, so I can, or maybe I didn't spend that much on it, but it's valuable, so I can afford to pay a couple extra bucks to promote it because I know I'm going to do very well on that item when I sell it, still make the money I need. I will promote about every 5th to 10th one. So I think doing it ever so often has helped increase my views, and increased views has increased my sales conversion. So I'm not saying this would work necessarily for everyone, and I wouldn't say of all of the tips I'm giving today that you should just use this tip. But I do believe wholeheartedly at my core that if you were to employ most, if not all, of the strategies I'm giving you today, that this could do really, really good things for your business of online selling. All right, folks, you're still here? Awesome. I'm going to give you my last tip of the day, and this is not something you would likely expect. Everything I've talked about with you so far have been tips about strategies of when you're already on a platform, you already have your item, and you're going to sell it. These are tips that help you sell things, help you get more potential buyers to see your items. But this last tip is a little different. This tip should be employed when you're outsourcing. So some of you source online. That's great. Some of you source in person. That's great. Some of you do both. I'm one of those people. I source at multiple different places, often in person, but also online. This tip is for when you're sourcing personally out in your community or somewhere that has a brick and mortar store. And so the tip is, while you're sourcing, you are going, if you do it regularly enough, you'll know what I mean. You're going to see other people, other shoppers. Some of those people are resellers as well. A lot of them are not. They're just out shopping. You're also going to see, if you go to the same places, especially, you're going to get to know the names of and talk and meet people who are the workers in these stores. So this tip is simply to communicate and talk with the workers and with the other shoppers. When you start having these conversations, you're going to start building the rapport and these relationships. And you know what's going to happen? Several awesome things. Number one is that you're going to start to hear little tips, little information from these workers. Oh, by the way, we've got our old jewelry inspector worker has left to go to another job. And so we got a new lady in, and so she's doing things a little different. She's going to start putting out the new stuff on Wednesday mornings instead of Mondays. Well, that's great news. Don't bother messing with Monday. Get there early on Wednesday because the new stuff is going to be there and you're going to have the opportunity to get that before someone else. You've got insider information now. Or an experience that I've had multiple times is I start talking with a worker. Out comes the manager. Hey, are you a reseller? Well, yes, ma'am, I am. Well, what do you buy? Well, lots of stuff, but I mean, right now I'm looking at jewelry and small items, watches, things like that. I do really well with that. Oh, really? Well, we got a bunch of those in the back we were about to put out. I wasn't going to do it till tomorrow, but since you're here, do you want to look at it first? Why, absolutely I do. So conversations with the workers have really panned out well for me. And if you're a repeat customer and you're the kind of customer that they want. Secondarily, there have been many times when I'll be looking at something at the counter or whatever else, and a couple other shoppers come up. Some of them are resellers, others are shoppers. The resellers, sometimes they'll say, well, I buy antique clocks. That's all I do. And I say, oh, interesting. Well, I have some antique clocks, or I come across things all the time like that. Then, next thing you know, we're swapping numbers. We're going to get together, and they end up looking at and buying some clocks from me. Like I found a potential buyer. Now, anytime I come across old clocks, I'm going to call old Bob, Jones from down the road. He buys clocks. And if you do that enough, you'll have enough buyers of all kinds of categories around you, and you've just added a brand new stream of potential buyers. You don't have to mess with losing the percentages on eBay or a platform. You don't have to mess with going through 25 scammers on Facebook Marketplace before you find the one person who is interested and will actually show up. Like you've already got somebody, right? So that's the other resellers. But then shoppers. Oh, I buy and sell jewelry. Oh, really? Well, my mother passed away 6 months ago, and she collected this stuff, and I just don't know what to do with it. Really? Well, do you want to sell it? Would you like help selling it? Because I do both. Sometimes I buy things outright. Sometimes I'll just, we'll work out a fee. I'll sell it for you. It'll all be transparent. You can see my eBay store. I got to take the taxes, of course, and eBay takes their percentage, but then we work out a split, and there you go. All of a sudden, I don't have to go sourcing for the next 2 weeks. I don't have to waste my gas wondering if I'm going to find something. I've already got product to sell. So have those conversations, folks. It's just good in general to be social and to get involved and learn about how to help people in your community, but it also can be good for your business. Well, folks, thank you for sticking around. I honestly, genuinely hope that these tips will help you. My guess is most of you do a lot of these things already. But here's my inquiry to you, if you have come this far, is to say, have you ever tried any of these strategies before? If so, what was that outcome for you, good or bad? And is there any glaring hole in my thoughts on this stuff? Are there strategies that are sort of in the same range that have helped you dramatically that I have not shared or don't know about? Please share those in the comments, because there are a lot of people on here that are like me. They just want to learn, just trying to get better and improve what we're doing. We like to learn. So please share that if you don't mind. And we can just kind of be this community together, trying to help one another out. That's really what this channel's about. So thanks so much. Good luck treasure hunting out there. I hope to see you real soon. We have new videos every week. We also have new videos every week on our What Sold channel. That's the channel where we just show what we sold. You know how in between all of these tips, I've been showing you on eBay the sales? That is, if you like that, that's all the other channel's about. It just does that. So check it out. Subscribe if you can. It'll make my twin brother here at the warehouse who runs that super happy, and we really appreciate it. Take care.
Beep, boop, boop,
Let's go make some money.
Rusty.